Hello and welcome to Values and Vibes. Today we're going to talk about beauty as a value. We're going to find out why do we feel pressured to look beautiful. Stay with us and find out more. Hi, me again. I just want to let you know that this is me without filters. So let's focus what is inside, because there is always a question, isn't beauty on the inside? Stay with us and find out more about beauty as a value. Hello and welcome to another episode in Values and Vibes. Today we're going to talk about beauty as a value. Of course, today we have my two favorite guests, Tia and Louisa, but also here is Joy. Joy, who's that? Who's that? Today we're going to speak about beauty as a value. Louisa, do you know what is definition from Value 180?
Absolutely. So beauty is to cultivate and appreciate that which is pleasing to the eye.
Wow. Tia, do you have anything to add about that?
I just remember coming up with that like looking at all the different definitions way back when. So that was interesting because I think beauty is like defined so many parts of our world. There's the beauty industry, there's the beauty of food, of art, of life, of just the beauty, a beautifully written book or tale. So I guess beauty, like almost all the other values, just takes on so many different meanings depending upon in which way you're using it or what you're describing, or just, I guess for me at its essence, I find beauty when I think about individual beauties or a human being that's beautiful. I always feel as if it's like beauty is more about someone's spirit, and if someone has this wonderful loving spirit, and the minute you're with them, you can feel this comfort and kind of in this kind of protective zone of I don't know, of kindness and just comfort. I think that to me is the most beautiful of all, because I think that sometimes you meet people and like, oh God, that person's, you're thinking in your head, oh, I don't know about them. They're not the best looking person. And then you shame on yourself, for making those judgments sometimes, because you spend 10 minutes with that person and they're the most beautiful person in the world. So I think that beauty is just something that runs much deeper than the outer manifestations of what we think, how we use it, and how we use it very flippantly with, just everyday life.
Yeah, I think beauty for me is an appreciation of things. If you have the value of beauty, you really stop and think, and you look at what's around you or what's in front of you, or whether it's an external, internal, whatever it is, and you take a moment to almost like appreciate what's there. So the reason I say that is beauty is not a value I ever really look at and think, oh yeah, that's one that's important to me. But my mum, who I'm very close with, she is a very creative person, and beauty was one that she told me when she did the assessment, or the activity, she held on to it as one that was like near and dear to the end. And if I think about it, she's someone who stops a lot. Wow, look at that flower, look at that, look how beautiful that is. Or she makes me think and see things in a different way. And I think that's a really lovely thing, and it's something I wish I could do a little bit more of.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point. Stopping smelling the roses, really slowing down and noticing, which is in a sense somewhat at the essence of the model, because it's being very mindful. I think when you're really discovering the beautiful things in your daily life, then there's a sense of mindfulness that goes with that, because you're present, right? You are there in a moment.
Present thing that I think really comes with this value when it's something that you use properly. But yeah, so it's one I think that goes straight to physical beauty, and being in the Western culture, being someone who grew up in London and still lives in London, it's very much what the media has made beauty be. It's a physical attribute, and it's, we all have to look like the Kardashians to be beautiful. And I think that's a shame that beauty gets. It's another one that we talk about other ones like money. I think beauty is one that can get a bad reputation.
Yeah, where really it's in the eye of the beholder, as they always say.
Yeah.
But when you talk about beauty, what is beauty? Beauty is like something that it's like similar, you know, like that there is similarity. There is a rule of similarity. There is also something like all the buildings that they have similarity and they have curves. They're nicer. They're more beautiful than like modern architecture, for example. So when you go like beauty of in architecture, if you go like beauty, when you see some like physical beauty, you would say, oh, this person is beautiful. But even if the person is beautiful, if they have like low bad energy, they're negative, they're not gonna be so beautiful. It's like a lipstick. It's like a lipstick for yourself, you know, like, so you need to.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
In fact, you're right. In some ways, that is how it happens more often than not, where there is this beautiful individual that you might see, and then you meet and you're not, it doesn't give you that same feeling as looking at them or looking at it. So yeah, you're right. I think that it's kind of the inverse of what I was saying. You know what I mean? When you meet somebody who might think, oh, well, they're not physically the most attractive person I see, but wow, they become very physically attractive when I see and hear and listen to the beauty of their soul, in a sense.
But
Yeah.
they also are the most physically attractive person to someone else. Beauty, I just think it's very therefore subjective, right?
Oh,
Of
yeah. I mean, it can be. I think there are certain beautiful things in this world that probably most people would agree that's beautiful. You know what I mean? There are like maybe a sunset or,
Yeah,
you
sunrise.
know, or the sea or, you know, being in the
Nature,
Mediterranean.
all nature.
Nature, yeah.
But then
Mhm.
some people might not understand the beauty of a sunrise or of a sunset when actually they see
Yeah.
small plant growing in a moldy forest, which is somehow managed to flower, and they go, well, there's the beauty there. I don't know. I it's a weird one, isn't it? How it comes out and where people might place beauty in the world.
I think it's an important value when you're raising kids, because I think that's, you know, that's something that's kids are very honest, so they like beautiful things, and so, you know, sparkly shoes and pretty dresses, and boys like shiny cars, and so I think that's there, like that's where bias begins a lot. I think you know, all the unconscious bias and value blockers that come into our model, because I think very young we attach beautiful things and ugly things in the way we speak to our children and the way we talk to one another. And I think some of the biggest biases probably come out of words like beauty, in a sense.
Yeah.
If beauty is a value, is it really close relation with beauty and authenticity, like a value?
I think what you were saying about what you were just talking about with broken things and artists making that connection and asking to put gold through it. I actually think it takes the discussion to me like one layer deeper, because I think that as people we become broken, and I think oftentimes, like when my daughters have gone through very difficult sufferings in their own life, I always, you know, obviously you never downplay it or belittle it or anything like that, but I think often a thing that you can sometimes work on with people, and probably even Louisa, maybe when she's been speaking with clients in the past, is that, you know, there's a lot of beauty in broken things, because it's in the healing process, and it's how do we repair and how do we get stronger from this standpoint. And there's such a beauty in that. And I mean, I remember speaking to my oldest, who's a writer, and some, you know, a terrible thing that happened in her you know, kind of young adulthood. And I talked about, you know, you are a writer, you can really kind of influence, you know, entire populations of people. And even though this was such a broken time of your life, one day you're going to be able to communicate this, write this, share this, and it's going to be beautiful because it's going to help heal. So I think that broken things that you work on healing and fixing are, you know, kind of almost a rebirth of beauty. If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Lisa, do you have anything?
I think it
Yeah.
does. Yeah, I think it makes sense. But when we talk about it as our value, we talk about something which is pleasing to the eye. So there is an aesthetic quality, right, that comes with this value.
Yeah.
And something that's quite physical, that I think also comes with it. So on the physical side of it, that's where there's that, I keep coming back to it, but maybe like the appreciation aspect of actually seeing things for what they are, and taking time to actually understand it and visually look at it. And I never do that. I know I don't. And it would take me to kind of get to the top of the Grand Canyon to go, oh, wow. Rather than walk where other people can see some of the beauty in leaves and things that are around them. But also to cultivate it. So to be able to have a way of bringing it into the world as well. I don't do that either. I think it's a really lovely value. I wish I could know, more.
When you're thinking about that, what's pleasing to the eye, what you're saying is like when you look a lot of different kind of descriptions. Before we started this podcast, I was thinking about it, and it says that typically, beauty, art, and taste are the main subjects of aesthetics and one of the major branches of philosophy. So when you talk about beauty, philosophically, it falls amid the category of art and taste as well. So it is like an aesthetic in that way when we talk about, what you see through the eye. But I guess that also what you see through the eye is very metaphorical as well too, and not necessarily something tangible always.
I would like to also compare because I got similar reaction. I got similar reaction from people when I was mentioning money, and now when I asked about beauty, they were like, yeah, but they're similar reaction, like, that's shallow, beauty is in the eye, so they were like, it's a bad value. And honestly, I think it's not a bad value if you like beautiful things. And you love clean house, or you love architecture, or you love art, you appreciate something similar, like it is beautiful. Why it's wrong? Why it's wrong? They were comparing literally with money. They were like, oh, maybe it's not the best value. No, why? Why beauty can be represent like a bad value?
I think we've boxed beauty in, and that's the part of the issue. I think we've said this is what beauty is in different cultures, and I can only speak from being, like I said, being in London and being someone who's grown up in that Western world. But this is beauty, and you're either in that box or you're not, and that's why the conversation becomes, well, surely everyone's beautiful in their own way, so actually is doing that wrong, and that's where
if you're going to talk more. Yeah, that's where the disconnect can be. And kind of interesting about that is if you're going to talk about it kind of in a way that people think about it as money or something, I always think like the best thing, it might be whatever beauty is of the time or of the moment. However, I always feel like it's a very powerful thing to have. Like, I agree with you. I think that people who present themselves in a beautiful way, their clothes are always, impeccably like pressed, and they have beautiful shoes and beautiful belt. Doesn't have to be the most expensive, but they just always look put together. That's beautiful in of itself. And I guess when my middle daughter, because she was always quite confident because she's naturally very smart, but I was always kind of knocking her back down. But I said, the most important thing, when you go into like maybe the boardroom, we don't have to be, just to be a feminist, we don't have to diminish our beauty and look like we're not wanting to look good and look beautiful. But what you want to be as a female, I always tell my daughters, is you want to use your female attributes. If you enjoy clothes, you want to always look good, look like you've really, taken care of yourself, but then be the smartest person in the room. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, because women, I think sometimes when it comes to beauty, we are fighting against, we're just being accepted, or we're just getting a donation, or someone's investing in the company because she's hot, she's beautiful. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to contend with for women in beauty.
Also, I got reaction like, so for example, when I see a beautiful woman, I love to say to tell her, because I admire this. I know how much time I'm spending to look good. So when I see somebody who is gorgeous, I need to come and say, girl, you look amazing. You did it. You know? So I when I was speaking about beauty, a lot of men and women, they were like, but she's beautiful, or it's easy for her, or they would say like, she got the job because she's beautiful, or the guy, because when it's a beautiful man, it's like not so often like gorgeous guy, then like a girl, So I don't know why people doesn't like to admire other beauty, to say, okay, this is.
Well, I think they do. I think it's also like a little bit of a competition thing when it comes to women. I think they do admire it, but they also don't. It gives them an outlet. Like I remember a friend that I had when our kids were young, and she almost went out of her way to look as like disheveled as possible. because she was so annoyed that she had to somehow feel as if she had to compete amid all these like housewives when they were attending school functions or whatnot. And she somehow felt like that diminished her intellectual capacity. And so I think you're right. So this is all this negative connotation, like you can't be beautiful and smart, or you can't be beautiful and clever. You can't be. So it's a complicated word. It's loaded. It's a loaded word.
But
Yeah.
if we have a company that's in their website, they say we value beauty. What that means for a company.
Yeah.
Can you, Louisa, tell us something about that?
I would imagine it's an organization that does something like, you know, architecture, where actually they're creating something that is visual, they're cultivating it, they appreciate it, they understand the beauty in the product that they create. And a lot of companies can have that value, but I think when it's something like, say, an architectural firm, actually that's really important for them, right? Of how these buildings are looking and how they kind of land with other people. I would wonder if those are the types of organization that create a culture of beauty in that way. Then you've probably got more of the industries which Tia will be more familiar with, obviously with Maria's job and stuff, but some of those cosmetic industries,
Yes.
Hair products, all these makeup brands, there's who use beauty in a different way, which can then become toxic, which becomes part of that conversation we just had before, right? And those can create a toxic culture because actually we should.
When you're selling beauty for beauty's sake, it could become very loaded and very toxic. I mean, we could say that for Revalue 180, we're selling beautiful lives because we want people to, you know, live in a mindful state where they can find what they truly prioritize as most important values in their life and how they can get around those roadblocks and live beautiful lives. So I think the beauty in our company itself is in people discovering their best selves, which is much more intangible than the aesthetic of beauty. And I know that. But I think that if we were going to define as a company what beauty would mean to us, I think it would be at least some of that. You know what I mean? The beauty of living the best, happiest lives we can.
For sure, but to that very point, you know, companies like us, for example, beauty is not going to be our standout value. It's going to be more things like curiosity. We love people. We want to ask questions. We want to really understand your life. We want to help you to actually discover what you want to do next. So I would say like something for us is like, wow, curiosity, bam. And I bet I know I have that as a top value and you do too, Tia. But if we looked at one would be something that stands out for us. There are companies where beauty would stand out. And I think it would be in industries like in cosmetics or in high fashion even, where it is about putting together something that is pleasing to the eye. My mum worked in the fashion industry basically her whole life. And then she became a gardener. And actually, if you look at what she's doing that whole way, she was cultivating and appreciating something that was beautiful within that.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I mean, like when we're talking about beauty with respect to like how we would define beauty to be representative in our company, it is a much more of a transcendent form of beauty in my eyes. You know what I mean? And I think that it's taking it like kind of, it's transcending it to just the real actual aesthetics. You know, we're always working on the aesthetics of our companies. So
if one of my 8 values is beauty, how can I prioritize that value through the day? Should I be just surrounded with something beautiful?
I think it'd be I think that you're going to want to look beautiful yourself because beauty is something, and you're going to want to have the people around you in your life, like your closest family members, keep them kind of looking beautiful. It's important to you. But what I really think is if you really want to live out beauty, then it's being mindful of what is beautiful. It's waking up and it's almost kind of part of that gratitude journal that people sometimes have. What's beautiful today for me? Wow, well, the sunshine is certainly beautiful today. And the way that the barista greeted me at my favorite coffee shop, like he had a beautiful smile. So I guess if you're gonna practice the value of beauty, it's the mindfulness part of it, and kind of taking note of those beautiful visualizations or even beautiful moments, depending upon how you want to view beauty, I guess is what I would say.
I wonder if it comes down to hobbies as well. You know, give yourself hobbies that allow you to because there's cultivating, there's a big part of it, which is, yes, the appreciation of it, but actually creating some of that beauty yourself. So if it was, for example, with flowers, I don't know, can you take that time to do some gardening and actually see yourself bring something beautiful to life? Because that's probably them fulfilling that value, to be able to see that process and then be able to appreciate something. Or if it's going to an art class and being able to put beauty to paper, if it is literally spending that time in the morning to think, okay, what do you want to wear today? And I know I'm someone who, in my last job, I was up very early to have to drive kind of an hour and a half to work. The night before, I would go through my wardrobe and lie out on the bed with what I was going to wear, because I actually cared about, you know, that aspect of what I'm putting on my body the next day. And actually giving yourself the time to put together that beauty in your life in whatever way, shape, or form that happens.
I agree. And I think people who are driven by that, which would be my youngest daughter a lot, and she's into aesthetics, and maybe because she's one-eyed or lost an eye. So she's especially, like they say, when you lose a sense, the other senses become even like more highly attuned. And so to her, if there's a wire hanging when she comes into our place, or she doesn't like the way, she hides things. Like, she doesn't, because she can't look at them because she doesn't like the way it looks. So I think for her, that is beauty, aesthetics. Like, she hates, the new couch, which it's so fun. My place in London, actually, so do I. But I fear more her view of beauty, because I'm going to hear about what's not beautiful to her. So I think you're right. I think it's in how you decide you're going to organize your own environment and your own kind of circumstances of your daily life in order to create that beauty around it. And I think it, like anything else, it only becomes a negative when we use it so much, and we're using it to maybe to a negative where, it's your self-esteem is completely affected every moment of the day by people not appreciating your beauty or something. That could become very negative after a while, not good for your self.
And I wonder if in the workplace, people who value beauty, let them be your quality checkers. Let them look at things, because I bet they're going to see them in a way that you absolutely do not. So use those individuals to your advantage, whether you agree with their opinion of it. They're probably very good with aesthetics, because a lot of our values live out into our actions, right? And the decisions that we make. So they're going to want to be your quality assurance checker that want to just make sure everything looks good. Like, I would run through any pitch deck I was going to do with someone who had the value of beauty at work, because I know that mine's probably going to look like a bit of a shit show, to be honest. So let's give it to someone who's.
I agree. I think about entertaining, and I can have like 75 people over, cook for them, make pies, make 700 desserts. And the beauty of me is like, is the food, and people like looking at the food and tasting it and loving it. But for Maria, the beauty would be, she would either design it herself or have a designer come up with like place set cards and the perfect napkins and the perfect accessories. So everybody, and where people are going to sit. And I couldn't give two craps about that. But that's funny. Like, one isn't more important than the other, but it's just funny, the difference of what to me is throwing a beautiful party versus her. Of course, I don't want it to look like it's just a,
No, but that's where the motivation comes in. So if that's your motivator and that's something that's important to you, that's where you're going to spend more energy and you're going to enjoy doing it. I know someone, a good friend of mine, she recently got engaged, and 100% she works in PR and kind of, I would say, like a beauty industry of in like cosmetics and things like this. 100% is someone who I would imagine would value beauty, and she does a lot of event planning. And oh my gosh, when they have their wedding, I bet it's going to be absolutely stunning, because everything's going to be quality checked and accounted for. So I think those are individuals that bring a lot more beauty to the world. But then I don't think that at the same time having that value makes you creative and visual, because remember, there's also the appreciation aspect of it. So some people are more mindful of it, right? And can just see.
Well, some people, maybe enjoy the beauty, but don't necessarily have to create the beauty. I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all in perception.
I'm gonna give you one example, because you guys know my values, but my husband, he appreciates beauty. So that's why this episode is interesting to hear that. That's why we have sometimes conflict in relationship, because whenever we are traveling, he's choosing the beautiful house, and me, because I prioritize a word or also value safety, we have a problem because
Yeah.
there is
It's
always
true.
little things who are on the edge that my daughter is gonna broke, she's gonna hurt herself. But my husband, he's coming, but look at all of those windows. And then I would come with the safety and I would say, yeah, but they cannot be closed. I'm scared
Yeah.
because of her, she can hurt herself. So I can see some conflict. Also, whenever we're driving
Sure.
somewhere, I want to go faster. No, Ned, because he loves beauty, he loves to drive through the, like beautiful area of the city.
Yeah, to like appreciate the sights. It's true.
Of
It's
course.
true.
Then there's a lot of restaurants who that doesn't look beauty. They're like normal restaurants. And then food is amazing. And I said, I want to eat great food. Let's eat. That.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That's so Ned. Ned likes the
Can,
vibe, the
can
beauty of the
we
restaurant.
go to this restaurant and they give us like a plate with something like small, like a spoon of food, and I'm like, I love to come here, but I'm hungry. I need to eat. So,
That's so
so
true. That's so
I
true.
can see that maybe he's overusing it because whole life, whole day, he wants to be surrounded with beauty, art, architect, like so he doesn't care is a waiter kind like me. He doesn't care about it. He likes to sit surround with beautiful people, beautiful, like aesthetic and everything. And then that's how he's making decisions and choices in his life for me also. And I'm just hungry. I just want to eat. Like, just bring me home.
I mean, I've witnessed the two of them, so yes, I agree. But I think that like for our listeners or viewers who don't know Ned, Milena's husband, he comes with a beautiful spirit. So he appreciates beauty like kind of on the inside and the outside because he does like beautiful things and he loves vibey, cool looking places. And guess what? He is also in pursuit of a career that revolves around real estate and something and maybe it's of commercial real estate space, but still he has an eye because of that beauty. So he's actually living his value and living it, well. I mean, he might be bordering on some kind of blocker there when he would rather have, if his family is starving, they really just want a really good meal, but he wants to look at like the cool designs and art of the restaurant. But yeah, that's a good example. That's interesting.
But
I
also,
think
whenever we're traveling, it's different. Restaurant, is it a house? Any choice, any decision that he's making, it's around beauty. For me, it's around safety. That's like our prioritization value. Louisa, you
Yeah,
can.
I agree. Especially when my children were small, I was around safety. And then you're always the drag. You're like always like, you're always like, you're the buzzkill, always.
Like, look at this beautiful chair. Of course, they don't have high chair, Milena. Why are you talking about high chair? It cannot be beautiful.
Right. Right. Look at this beautiful 12-foot slide that Colin let Sophia go down when she was 4 and broke her arm in 6 places. That was a great slide. It was beautiful. Anyway.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that shoulder blocks beauty. So I have it as a lost forgotten value, but I can't sit and like work at my desk at home if I haven't tidied the flat or things aren't away. So I think
Me too.
I get to beauty, yeah, we're quite similar with that too. It's like if you come over, my house is a hotel, like always, it has to be.
Yeah.
And that's even if you don't come over, I have to have it like that to
Yeah.
be able to cognitively function. So I think my beauty comes out in making sure my environment and my home stuff, like I can't have clothes in my wardrobe I don't wear. I have to get rid of them. And I'm trying to cultivate that beauty for myself so that I can concentrate. And it's the lost of forgotten value of mine. So maybe I'm not doing it enough. I don't push it enough when Rich comes home and throws all his stuff on the floor.
Like
You put that the stuff.
That's such a good point because like Maria is so aesthetic and loves beauty, but she works like in a pig pen.
Yeah.
Like her room is a disaster. I when I go there to visit in LA, there's like 25 half-drank water bottles. There might be like a box of Cheez-Its. And I'm like, how do you do anything? And she's much more creative than I am. But then she has these slide decks that practically like speak to you. You know what I mean? So yeah, so true. Anyways. Exactly. Well, anyways, guys, that was fun as always.
Thank you so much for watching us, listening us. Stay with us. We're gonna cover more values, and I'm hopefully Joy is gonna be in the next one.
I hope not.
Yep.
Look, he's cutting me out.
See you next week, Joey.
And we
Bye.
wish you a beautiful day. Beautiful day.
Have a beautiful day. I
Have a
agree.
beautiful day.
Bye.
Okay.